winner's first place. I mean,
Right.
this is unheard of.
Right.
And this is all through the generosity of the Sinquefield family as well as St. Louis Chess Club.
Absolutely, no question about it. I remember my U.S. Junior Championships. It was all about the bonus prizes. There was no prizes. It was about qualifying for the World Junior Championship, a U.S. Open, and maybe a overall championship, right?
Yes.
But that was what it's all about. Let's just jump into round 6 for a moment as we have Alice Lee with the white pieces against Kelsey Liu. Knight f3 on move 3, not going into a Nimzo. And then after b7, you know, there was a time that the Queen's Indian with b7, b6, everybody played the b7, b6. Today, it's amazing how many Queen's Gambit declines,
Right.
as well as Queen's Gambit accepted I'm seeing. But it's nice to see an old friend, b7, b6 on the board. Normally speaking, Anatoly Karpov and thousands of others all went the route of g2, g3. Alice sticking to her gun, she likes developing her bishop to the d3 square, castles, and so on. Before we leave, just as we came onto the air, we were looking at Ru Yanyan and
Back to girls.
Yes,
There's a
do.
really interesting position. I mean, we can start with Alice Lee,
Okay.
just to see how the leader is doing, but then go to Zoe
Absolutely.
Tang's game against Rochelle Wu.
Absolutely. So when we left Alice and Kelsey, they were playing this Queen's Indian, and we left it at bishop d3, bishop check, knight d2, and it looks like they transposed into a kind of a BOGO Indian, this early bishop b4 check. Black gives up the dark square bishop in order to occupy the e4 square, and oftentimes follows it up with f7, f5. This is my game from the candidates with Vasily Smyslov, and I really like my position as black. In my book, Chess Duels, I explained, you know, like how I was trying to get to Vasily's king. A7, A5. Now, normally speaking, when you have these positions where you're going to one side of the board, in this case, black is going to the king side, and your opponent is going to the other side of the board, in this case, Alice is looking maybe to play b4 and c5. The rule of thumb is don't play in your opponent's sphere. Leave the queen side alone. So when you play the move a7, a5, you may have it in your mind, you're doing this great job of opening the queen side for your rook, but you have to stop with the idea of opening the queen's side.
Right.
That's where your opponent wants to play. So maybe this move a7, a5, I'm not a big fan. Maybe I would rather see her playing moves like knight f6, knight g4, and or just, you know, bringing pieces to the king side. a5, bishop e1. So basically what Alice is saying is, you know, my bishop may not be the most beautiful piece on the board, but long term.
Right now, I still want to save it and see how it's going to shine in the end of the game.
In the future. And maybe this move also preps the possibility of d5. The bishop is in the way. If you could play d5 and knight d4 in one turn, you go d5, knight d4, you'll refute the attack. Queen e8, okay, kind of a prelude once again to saying, you know, student body right. I'm going to put all my pieces over on the king side and sack the house. Knight d2, and we are up to date with the players. Who's ahead on the clock? Kate?
So,
I mean, I'm just wondering who out-prepped who.
No, so we have Alice Lee 1 hour 16 minutes, and Kelsey Liu 1 hour 6 minutes. So Alice is 10 minutes ahead, but
Okay,
pretty much
nothing.
similar time.
Nothing terrible. I would like
let's
to
take a
bring.
look.
I would like to bring the attention to our viewers to move 12. In this position, I didn't like the decision of Kelsey to play a5. I criticized that decision at the time that she was making it. It was like rook f6 or knight f6. And Alice made the determination right there on move 13 to play the move bishop e1.
To hide the bishop,
And she's thinking as follows. In the future, I don't know what the future is going to bring, but in the future, I want to have the two bishops because if I can open up the position for my two bishops in the future, I know with an absolute certitude I'm going to have an advantage. So, bishop e1. Now, let's jump to the current position right here. Now, nobody's telling her this. Nobody is saying,
Hey, you have a strong move.
you've got a really good move right here. You've got this great idea. What are you going to do? She's already determined many moves previously. If I can open up the position, my two bishops are going to take over.
Right.
Bam!
Very strong move.
Huge move. C4, C5 on the position. She's thinking to herself, look, let me open up the rook, takes, and if I can open up the position, my two bishops, if I can take on e5, provoke rook takes e5, I will have bishop to g3. Everything will go in her favor. But with this move c5, it's important that I think that she has this intermezzo check as a way of clearing the file, being able to recapture. And look at what happened to poor Kelsey's minor pieces. The bishop on a4 pins the knight on d7. Remember, we had this beautiful bishop a long time ago on this long diagonal. No more. And I think the move c5 has really given Alice a very big advantage. But it was something that she nurtured 5 moves before.
Right.
And it's all coming together. It's
And
just
by the
like
way,
one of
if you
those
take
things.
on d4, maybe
Yeah.
you can even take on b6.
Also, so you're not even afraid of this.
Well, now I give you a check.
And then
And then
this,
I have b7 also. Yeah, that's my threat. b7 is my threat.
That's a nice move, b7.
Nasty, nasty. b7, a big threat, yeah. So this rook on c1, doing great business. and by the way, for Alice, because her pursuers are so close, only half a point behind. Absolutely. Speaking of ambitious play, I'd just like to turn our attention to Alice Lee and Kelsey because it was that move c5.
Right.
For me, this is the double exclam move. That just cements the advantage in Alice's favor, and after captures, queen c4 check is on the board, king h8 is the last move, and for me, this is just an absolutely overwhelming position in favor of white.
Right, and we are expecting b7 here.
b7 is one move, and that's a strong move because you're going to pick, and I'm looking at queen takes c7 and saying, you know what, I want to take a bishop. I'm going to promote this pawn. I'm thinking you're going to play knight e5.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's do it. I'm thinking you're going to
And
go
I'm
knight takes f3
f3.
check. And your turn.
Well, can I do rook takes c1?
Oh, no! Rook takes e1.
It's my turn.
No! That distracts me off this. Oh my gosh. Then I blundered. Oh no, rook takes e1. I blundered. I
But it's
knew it
probably
was
still
shit.
better for white, no?
Well, I
Have
didn't
these-
want that. I wanted more than that. I guess I would have to move my. Well, in this case, I could do king h1 or bishop g3 or. Yeah, I wanted to win
Back rank
cleverly with a back rank checkmate. But I think Alice is looking really good. Again, b7, yes, that does win a piece in the game. But now, having thought about the move queen c7, you prefer queen c7 too, right?
Yeah, I think it's very strong.
Yeah, queen c7 as well. Because again, after knight e5, one sole thing is this check. I was going to block it. Maybe even I can just move my king. But it feels like Alice is on the precipice of victory, and phew, she's doing really, really well.
Very dangerous with white pieces.
Wow.
Right? Championship. I also feel like I've seen her around for so long.
Exactly. As she's dueling this round 6, and there we have Alice Lee, our tournament leader. And again, it feels to me like Alice is in cruise mode. It's like she's got this game. She's just played the move queen takes d4, capturing not only a pawn, but a really crucial pawn, the pawn that defended the rook and opens up the d file. She's got a double attack going here. She's ready to capture the rook, capture this pawn on d6. And by the way, that screen that you're seeing, that really is a white
Yeah.
pawn. It should be a black pawn. Even if it was a black pawn, I got a feeling black is not equalized. But that's a white pawn, and we just have rook e8 on the board, threatening the bishop. Bishop is going to hop out either to g3 or f2. I love bishops in front of the king. That just makes a very nice,
I like
powerful
forcing
impression.
rooks away from my kind of camp, you know. So
Yeah.
bishop f2, just
That's your
just
first.
go away.
That's it's funny. Bishop f2, rook f3, as a pawn grabber, I give nothing, nothing. Bishop to g3 defends the king. It's all about this pawn. Actually, truth be told, it's all about this pawn. And how do I get the pawn to coronation? I'll tell you how. I'll put a rook on the 8th rank. That would
I mean,
be very
Alice
nice.
has everything she needs in this position to win
Overwhelming,
this game.
overwhelming advantage. Back over to Alice Lee. When we left, Alice got this pawn on c7.
Right.
It's just this monster pass pawn. And Kelsey, also the d6 one. She liked your move.
I
Bishop
told you,
f2.
bishop,
I'm
and I'm
a
not
bishop.
worried about your rook takes f3 because then I actually capture on d6.
Clear. And she dropped back with the rook,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'd rather have my bishop on g3, right?
Well, you can go there now.
Queen d5. And look at this. Alice is pawn hunting. Alice said, what's better than having a pass pawn on c7? Well, having two pass pawns on the queen side.
That one is absolutely over.
Yeah, a lot of accomplishments.
That was an absolutely incredible
Yeah.
game, I have to say. But another person that played an incredible game is Alice here with us. Alice, congratulations. You're continuing the streak of victories and you're continuing to maintain your lead in the tournament. Big game in this one. How did you, what was your strategy, your mentality coming into this game? You're facing an opponent that's struggling a bit in this event. Did you want to put a lot of pressure on her early on?
Yeah, so I had like the rest day to prepare, and I thought because I'm like playing as white, I think I'm like the favorite here. So I wanted to try to like win this game and maintain like the half a point lead I have over the rest of the field. Especially since like tomorrow I'm playing Carissa. But yeah, I'm very happy with the way that the game turned out. I think I like out-prepared her in the opening.
And I think this was the critical moment right after bishop to c8. Sure, you have the two bishops, you have some space advantage, but then this move came along. c5, really well-timed break in the center.
Yeah, so like first of all, I thought like my position was really good even without d5. Like even if I just play like d5 and b4, I should probably be like much better. But c5, I thought it's just like really nice because at the very least, I'm like starting to take on b6, take on c8, and also I can always like take on d7, play c6, d5, and just completely trap the bishop in. So I thought e takes d4 was sort of forced.
Yes.
And after c takes b6, rook takes c3, queen c4. King h8.
Everything was coming with tempo,
Yeah.
right? You had the option of maybe going b7 and picking up the knight. What were you afraid of?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought like it'd be super clean to take on d7. Since like all the pawns, the a pawn and the d pawns are both weak. But I guess like I could have played b7.
This was the very mature way of dealing
Yeah.
with the position. Don't give your opponent any sort of counterplay. Well, Alice, another important victory for you to keep ahead of your nearest competitor. Zoe Tang seems to be winning, but there's one big result that's happening right now. Is Carissa seems to be losing against Ru Yang. You're going to be facing Carissa tomorrow. She's very far behind you, so definitely she wants to win. How are you going to approach that game? Big game for you.
Yeah, so I guess it's like I'll just like try to take it and play my best regardless of like the tournament situation. But it's sort of nice for me that I have a bit of room for error because I have like this 1.5 point lead over her. Although Zoe's still only I think half a point behind.
Zoe will be half a point behind you. Yeah.
So it's again important for me to not to lose, and she'll definitely be pressing for the win. So I'll just have to play my best chess there tomorrow.
Well, we'll let you go back to your hotel, speak with your coach, get the strategy going, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Our congratulations as well, Alice. Very impressive game.
Can I squeeze in one question?
sorry.
If Alice is still there, first of all, congratulations. Great, convincing game. But yesterday you were at the club celebrating, the International Chess Day and the 15th anniversary of the St. Louis Chess Club. And for the first time, you tried the duck chess. So I do want to ask you, how did you enjoy the game?
Yeah, I really liked it. It was like so complicated. It's like I think I'm putting his Iam Costia, and like he said, the best player C2 moves in advance. So it's definitely a really unique way of thinking with like the rubber ducks as like another chess piece. And I really like need to go study some, I guess, opening series there. It's just a really interesting game, especially like just a new way of thinking. Like all your chess skills previously, they're like not important when you have that one extra duck piece.
Okay, happy to hear that you enjoyed it, and hope you continue playing duck chess as well as actual chess.
Yeah.